Welcome to A Taste of AZ podcast. My name is Luke Irvin, and today we've got an epic episode lined up for you. But before we jump into that, just want to let you guys know real quick, we've got some brand new merchandise up on our website, including these Thanks for Supporting Local hats and 2 new shirts as well. If you like today's episode, please also leave us a review on your favorite podcast app, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow our email newsletter. With nothing else to say, let's jump into today's episode.
Guys, thanks for having me in. I'm actually very excited to come. I've never been to this location. I remember last time, Anthony, when I talked to you, I said I hadn't been to Spinato's, but I was lying. I'd been to the one on Bell Road.
Oh, yeah.
Union Hills. Bell Road. I always
Bell
get
Road,
the two.
you got it right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's old school.
That used to be my way home from work, and I would stop and get pizza or even just a jar of sauce or something. So yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
So I had to correct myself from last time and say I have been to Spinato's, but I haven't been to this location. I think it's cool because so we're on Chandler Boulevard, right?
Yeah.
This is Albuquerque.
Yep.
And it's on 48th Street.
Yep.
Which is
48 years.
48 years of Spinato's, right?
I didn't even think about that. You're a genius.
You know, that's the kind of things that things just click in my head sometimes, you
Yeah.
know, and most of the time they're not useful, but in this case it might be.
Yeah.
So introduce yourself. So first we have you. What is your name?
My name is Anthony Spinato, and I'm one of, obviously, the family members here at Spinato's. Grew up in the business. Been here for 35, 40 years, just started with dishes, and did everything on my way up and been fortunate enough to earn the opportunity to lead our company these days.
Yeah. I Spinato's being such a presence in the Valley. And I love when you. So I grew up outside of Youngstown, Ohio. There was a lot. Everything was pretty much mom and pop, right?
Yeah.
Like the bigger towns had like maybe a Applebee's or Chili's,
Yep.
right? But everything was like these small mom and pop owned Italian places, Greek places, like you name it. And I love to come to a big city and still see that present.
Yeah.
And then yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jamie Spinato. I'm Anthony's wife, and I've been with the company going on probably about 10 years officially.
Yeah.
I did hair for 14 years, and I actually met Anthony at Spinato's Bell Road, the location.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So when I was 15. So, and then I went to culinary school and ended up wanting to come over and kind of help with the menu and kind of update things. And then it kind of rolled into now I'm in marketing somehow.
You don't even know. Maybe through this podcast we can dissect to help you figure out how that happened. Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when she went to culinary school, I think it's good to point out it wasn't the intention to join the family business. Okay. I mean, she was just naturally gifted at it. She was ready for a change.
Are you going to tell him about you crushing my dreams?
I did crush her dream. Yeah. Actually, she was in culinary school, Arizona Culinary Institute, private school up north.
Okay.
And great school. I remember when she graduated, her chef said to me, "I can count on one hand how many people who have come through our school with the type of talent that your wife had.
Nice.
which incredible talent.
Yeah.
Which." I didn't know that was going to come to Spinato someday. I think you got a job at Lon's at the Hermosa Inn or something. Mm-hmm. You started off there.
Okay. Well, I got the job, and then we found out
we were pregnant.
I was pregnant with our oldest, and so at that point,
it was time to kind of
I had to make the decision to not end up doing that.
Yeah, but remember you came home from the story about crushing her dreams. She came home from.
He really wants to tell this story.
Yeah. He really does.
We got to get it out.
This
is a husband loving his wife, though. Yeah. Also, if we can see through that a little bit, I probably could have done it more gracefully. But she came home one day. Well, a little bit before that, she had come home when she was running their restaurant. They got to that point where they could run a restaurant. And she was doing the front of the house for 3 weeks and then the heart of the house. And one day she just came home and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I have so much respect," because it was a first taste at really the whole picture, right?
Sure.
Understanding. She's like, "I have so much respect for what your dad and mom and grandparents and what you guys all have done for so long." So what a blessing that was to a marriage, because it's really hard to marry into the food service industry. It's
because you marry into the industry, right?
Yep. You were all in restaurateur. It's round the clock, and but then she couple weeks later, she came home and she's like, so I finally figured out what I'm going to do. And I was like, what is it? She's like, I'm going to have a little bistro, a little breakfast place and a little breakfast lunch. And, shame on me. I was terrible about it, but I was just asking her questions.
What are you going to do when it's Saturday and the walk-in goes down and nobody can come in and fix the walk-in?
Yeah.
So he just kind of
I was like, what are your hours, right? She's like 8 to 2. And I'm like, so like 5 to 5. And she's like, 8 to 2, husband who can't hear, right? Which I can't anyway, but, and so I said, no, yeah. So like 5 to 5. And she looked at me again and like snarled and, no, 8 to 2. And I'm like, well, no, I mean, you got to come, and I went through the whole thing. And to, like what she was saying.
By the end of it, I was crying, and I'm like, "You're a dream crusher."
I'm like, no, I just want you to know what you're getting into. I love you, but it's a lifestyle, right? Yeah. It's not what people think it is,
For sure.
But we're not complaining by any means. We love it. It's rewarding. It's we love everything about it, but it's challenging. At the same time.
My grandmother owned a restaurant all growing up until I was maybe 12, 13, and then she sold it. So small town restaurant. And you see all the, I was just telling my wife about, you would park in the alley behind it, and it just got progressively cleaner as you went to the front of the house, right? Because you had the dumpster and the grease traps and all this, then the kitchen. And then as you got to the front, like, oh, this is Country Belle. This is beautiful. This is cute. Like in the back, it's, But I love that, though. And when I started doing podcasting and content creation around beer and food and beverage, I just felt back in love with them. Like, I love it. I love the industry, even the smells of like a greasy mat and stuff like that. Right? You learn to love that stuff, right?
You do know. Yeah. And then you come home and you smell like the kitchen too,
Even after a few showers. Yeah.
True.
Smell like pizza, huh?
Yeah. That's better than, I used to work at Chili's and I smelled like the batter from the Awesome Blossom. It would be in my eyelashes. I'm like, I need to fix my process a little bit. But, so let's backtrack a little bit to the beginning of Spinato. So it was your parents that started Spinatos, right, initially?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they came out from Chicago as a partnership, with a gentleman by the name of Joe Aurelio grew up, my father grew up with. And they had some restaurants, Italian family in Chicago. And so it originally started as a partnership, and then in the early 80s, we opened in 74, about 84, I think, is when my dad bought out the Aurelios. And, a lot of people still think we're affiliated, or there's still like we're a family or affiliation. And it was just how we got our start, and
meaning a family partnership, not necessarily a soul family.
Correct. Yep. And then we changed the name Spinatos, and for a while there.
What was it before?
Aurelios.
Oh, Aurelios.
Yeah, Aurelios. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and for quite some time, my dad was just leading it and kind of kept everything the same. I mean, changed the logo and some things like that, but not much changed for quite a few years. It was
pizzas were numbered. There wasn't names.
Yeah, you'd order.
Numbers.
My dad likes the KISS method, right?
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid. So
sure.
you come in, I'll take the number 17, right? Or I'll have the 23 is what we still think of as the Super 6 on the menu, And so, and then if you were a server, you had to learn the numbers, and then there were numbers for each ingredient. So you had to write out like, 17 plus 8 plus 4. And,
can I get an 1100, please? It all adds up together. Yeah.
Right. So it was very, very. I wish we could have things be that simple these days. But my sister and I grew up in the business, and we just had a little different vision for, hey, let's add some things and let's do this differently, and so over the years we got to make a few little changes, more by asking for forgiveness rather than permission, right? Because Jamie knows my dad. It was always just why are we going to change? Let's keep it very.
This works.
And it did.
Yeah.
And then once she came aboard too, she became one of our executive chefs and worked down in our family kitchen. Which is where we, I think we talked a little bit about that last time, where we make 36 of our proprietary items, and get that up to our restaurants all throughout the week. And so she really just started to bring a more modern and just a different feel to the menu that we were hungry for, literally, in terms of, hey, we wanted to take this thing forward, wanted to expand it. She's great at baking, and the dessert program was born. We never really had dessert because we didn't want to take something out of a box and call it, dessert. Everything we want to do is with our hands. And so give her a lot of credit for I think, when it was my wife, right, I knew she wasn't going to go anywhere if I treated her well. So that was the first thing, right? But, we were building out a giant kitchen, at our headquarters. And, she just was the perfect fit for, in terms of, I think, not being worried about, well, if I hire out a chef or find somebody, what if they leave in 6 months? Yeah. I don't know anything about really good baking and things like that. So she really got it started. We hired another executive chef, and they worked as a team for how many years?
Oh, my gosh. 8?
8 years straight.
9
just
years, yeah.
On hammering out the core recipes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. And then kind of updating our old recipes with either different ingredients or just kind of updating it.
Shaking it up a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, no, I guess it would help too to have a sweet daughter-in-law presented to your dad rather than you and your sister, right?
Home run right there. Yeah, I lost so many battles that I gave up, you know, and then she just always has had a way, to really just melt my dad, right?
Yeah.
And just, and all of a sudden she, wouldn't hear any complaints about what we were doing.
Yeah.
Right? Well, Jane, this is what, she went to culinary school, Dad. There's so many qualifications, and, it was never an issue.
The wedding talking to.
Oh yeah, that might make for some good.
What was that? I saw the hand movement.
Because the hand movement, the Italian hand movement, was definitely used during that talk.
That's great.
We were at Camelback Inn, and we were at a brunch with the family.
It was our rehearsal dinner or something.
Okay.
Yeah, rehearsal dinner. And so we were all inside, and the server comes over to me and says, "There's somebody wants to talk to you outside." And I said, "Okay." Didn't know who somebody was, so I had to go outside. And my father-in-law, his back was to me, sitting in a chair, kind of like The Godfather.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of. Yeah.
And he extends out his hand and says, "Have a seat."
Wow,
there was a big floral arrangement.
And then, yes, there was a giant floral arrangement too. And then the Italian hand got moving, and he's like, "What are your intentions with my son?"
Wow.
What are your intentions with my son?
And he waited until the rehearsal dinner?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Would have really put her under pressure.
No, but it was also probably one of the most sweetest conversations I've ever had too, because it was more about the fact of how much he loved his son and how he knows that his son can sometimes be in his head with work and get very focused, and it was more about you're going to have to help him to remember where the focus should really be at on the family.
That's great advice. Right? That's the kind of stuff, it's like movie books. Like, as you were telling the story, it sounded like a movie. But also, you don't get that type of advice. People don't open up that much, right?
Right, exactly.
Say, hey, this is... You're going into the restaurant industry. This is going to be, and that passion that you have is a good thing to a certain extent.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I read something recently where it talks about how guilt-free play is just as crucial to your advancement in your career than the work that you're putting into it, right? Is shut the door, have a week off where you can do whatever the hell you want and not have to worry about stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Easier said than done in the restaurant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Well, so what were some of the things that you did, you guys were creating? Because I think it's incredible you guys have those proprietary ingredients and things in their ingredients specifically, right?
Yeah.
And
just quality control with things. So with, whether it's the dough or the sauce or the desserts or or
the cannoli cream, the mushroom filling, the garlic butter, artichoke spread, all those things that I feel like, and we just had our new employee orientation last night, so I'm explaining this to our staff, and it was actually, we had all of our employees come in. We're doing it by restaurant, and I was saying, we're going to have 7 restaurants here pretty soon, and let's just say there's 3 people, if we didn't have a family kitchen, we'd have to not only just buy the equipment and have space for it, but somebody would have to do this. Yeah. And so let's just say there's 3 people at every restaurant making the sauce. That's 21 different variations, right? Because everybody, there's always just those little subtleties. Then you get into a living and breathing organism like dough. That's a bigger problem. Or we make tiramisu, we make our hand dipped tortines, which are like a beautiful red velvet chocolate cake. The cannoli cream. So when you start getting into that stuff, and now you got 21 different ways or different subtle differences, you're not going to get the same thing.
For
you
sure.
know? And so, and I talked about, I said, I don't know about you guys. I said, but when I put a pizza on the table and I come back and check on a guest, I say, hey, how is your, Alla Italiana or your chicken presto pesto? They always say, always great. I haven't had a bad one in 12 years. I've never had a bad, I've been coming here 12 years or 15 years or 2 years. And so those are those things that reinforce why we invest. And there's so much going on behind the scenes to get our products made. It's our team doing it and then get them out to the restaurants. We're buying tomatoes 2-3 months in advance now, the fresh packed tomatoes, just to make sure we have enough with all the supply chain issues, flour, all these things. So gave them kind of a look into, this is what it takes just to get the product to your restaurant. And then your responsibility, right, is to deliver that exceptional food to the guest. And this is how we do it, so it's a team environment,
Yeah, and you were part of building kind of that system out.
Yeah, a small part of it.
Was it the dessert side of it mostly? Was that your? Or
it was the dessert, but then there was like the appetizer, kind of like what he was saying with the mushroom filling and artichoke, and so there was some things. But I would say your dad was kind of the catalyst for all that, because he had that foresight.
Yeah, he was the brainchild on hey, we need to do this way. I read the McDonald's book years ago, and it made perfect sense, right? If you can do anything consistently well, you're going to be okay.
For sure.
And so it was just really that model. And at the time, we only were doing like dough and sauce, and I think we were slicing our own meat, and stuff like that. Now it's 36 proprietary items. I was telling our staff, I said, one thing that surprises me when I look at our numbers, 30,000 pounds of dough a month, that makes sense. 1,500 gallons of pizza sauce. I said, but when you look at the amount of jalapenos we pickle for ourselves, right? It's over 200 pounds a month just in pickled jalapenos, And so, some people will say, well, you can get those. I say, yeah, you can, but we want ours to just be complement how we use them, the sweetness of the sauce, but we just like to do those things ourselves, And so the goal is that you can't get this stuff at the next pizzeria, so we're always trying to make something unique. And some of the things that literally just came from Jamie making something at home when we had friends come over, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's this? And they'd be like, this needs to go on the menu, so some of it was just a natural, like I said, she is extremely good. I call her the palate. She just knows how to make things come together. She knows why to use this with this and that. And, the only thing is if I could get her to write down her recipe after she makes it, instead of saying, hey, we're going to do the new menu, you got that recipe, and it's, 8 months later, a year later, and she's looking at me like, no, I don't. But I'm going to have to figure it out,
Is it you just because it's all up here, and you just,
Just, or when I'm in the kitchen and I'm seeing what I have in the refrigerator, it's like, what do I got? And I just kind of throw it in, and it kind of comes out.
That's kind of the I guess I won't say the curse, but that's the curse of a creative sometimes, right? It's like, how did you do that? I don't know. Just did it. I can do it again. I know how to replicate it, but so that's cool that she's able to take, right? If you say it right, like take that and systemize it in certain ways for those. I love that. I think that so. You talk about your dad, and it was like the number 7 or the number 23, right? Because that was a system that he created, right? And it was a way. So for him, it kind of sounds like maybe the ability to see how you can scale it, and he was behind it. Did he get excited then to start expanding that way?
I think the biggest concern, right, as you grow is you're going to dilute. Things aren't going to be what they should be, because you're just spreading out. You're going horizontal, and and that was all. It's always been our biggest focus and concern. And we always say our internal growth has to always be out in front of our external growth. And then you've got to have those systems right in place to make you feel as an owner you're going to invest this much money into another operation. Well, how are we going to continue to deliver on a high level? How can we execute these things as we get to another store, and another store.
Yeah.
And so by having that family kitchen, right, it just solidifies that we know we're on the second floor in our building. They're down on the first floor. So we go downstairs all the time, walk through there, say hello to everybody, but also
shout out to lower level John.
Lower level John, and I got in trouble for saying that one time and called John on our lower level or lower level John, and everyone picked that up. But it literally is right under our nose, and you can see that they're doing, and if he's got a question, and we're just working together, we're collaborating on any issues.
Yep.
But then that way we know those items are going out. And they are what they should be, right?
Sure.
They have the level of quality. Everything was controlled. We have an enormous refrigerated truck to keep everything at the right temp, right?
Yeah.
Got to control the environment there. And then it's just the challenge, right, is then you're onboarding another 60, 70, 80 people in your restaurant.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is the recipe chart. It's time and temperature. Put too much of this on, it's going to be underbaked, right?
Yeah.
Put too little of this on, we're going to have a burnt pizza, and so that's really, I think, our biggest challenge is people understanding that this system isn't something that, I'm sure, you can have some fun, make your own pizzas in the way that you want to when you're making them for yourself, but you've got to follow this method, and you spoke a little bit about the 48 years, right?
Yeah.
We have what we call a playbook, and we figured that out at year 40. It's really like how we got here, right?
Yeah.
So this is how we're going to continue to go forward. And so the hardest thing is just going against people who are great in the kitchen, creative, very talented, and saying, I know you can do all those things, but you just have to do this way.
Yeah.
Because that's what the guest is coming in for.
For sure.
And that guest is who puts food on your table, clothes on your back, right? Shoes on your kids. Those are the things my parents, my father instilled in us. Is that's what the guest is to us. And we tell our staff it's not us who's paying you. It's the guests. You work for them, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't make them happy and you don't deliver on value in that experience, they're not going to come back. And there's going to be one less table or filled, and over time, right? We won't have jobs. We won't be able to fulfill our purpose. And so that's the biggest challenge, and just getting people to stay within those boundaries and say this is what we've got to do. And as long as we do that, you're going to continue to do well.
Right.
And so that but the family kitchen really does kind of solidify the flavors and the tastes of each one of those items, ingredients. It's going to be there. And it's just on us to execute from a training standpoint in our restaurants.
Yeah, and have that documented, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, I worked at McDonald's. That was my first paid job, legally paid.
Me too.
Job. Yeah. I worked out on the toll road in Pennsylvania. Actually, it was in Ohio. So the turnpike went through Ohio and Pennsylvania, right? And so I worked at the McDonald's there when I was 16, and it's incredible the system, because right. I go through this whole corporate experience till I was like 38, and then I found like the creative side, which I always loved being creative, but until I found something that I could actually pursue. And then as I pursued the creative side, I was like, oh man, I need to understand the systematic side, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the corporate and the organization and the system stuff, if you're creative and you don't understand that other side, or if a lot of creatives reject it, you got to be an anomaly. Like you have to be like, Kurt Cobain or somebody who is undeniably talented, right? Because if you don't have that work ethic and that system combined with that creativity, And so with those if you have chefs that are, like, oh, I like to be creative, it's like, great. Well, can you follow this as well?
Yeah.
Because you need to do both of them, right?
And the thing, I love making pizzas. If I could do one thing over and over again, right? I'm always, when I come into restaurants, I want to be the last guy to touch the pizza, right? Because you still have the ability to make it look unbelievable, beautiful, you know? And so, there's you can't add this much more cheese or this, but the creativity is still, even, on the salad line or how you plate it, right? How you finish that pizza, even cutting a pizza, I get so frustrated when some of our guys just slice through it. And it's like, well, I just put my heart and soul into making this thing look beautiful, right? And I have a picture of that guest, opening that box, at home, enjoying that pizza and being so just wow, this looks beautiful. And then sometimes, somebody comes through and just slices it up and it's all uneven. And I'm like, and so it's just all those different parts, right? But I don't think, people understand that, who like to be creative, that there's still enough to do in our restaurant, right? To add your little touch on it and make it look amazing and unforgettable,
Well, I think it's those systems too that helped us become the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns with it, and being able to have quality control with things, as well as having the family kitchen. Because when we got asked to do it, we said we're not going to do it unless we could make a pizza that is like the pizzas that we have within our restaurants.
Meaning it's just like, this is a great opportunity, whatever. Just get something out there.
Like we didn't want anything to be frozen or pre-made, or we wanted to be able to bring the restaurant to the arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that was the scary part of, it kind of came on fast to our company. We brought everybody in on it, our entire family headquarters team. So even somebody who's signing paychecks, right, is looking at, what does this mean for us? They're all invested in the company.
Looking at all those different angles, how this impacts this. And
what does this do? Yeah. And so everybody had a role to make sure that we could just do this the way that we opt, because it's a partnership, right? It's not just us coming in and saying this is how we're going to run this whole thing. You have to figure out how you work with Levy down there as well. But that was the big thing, was can this product be as good, right, as what you would get in our restaurants? And if it's not, then we all have to be comfortable sitting around the table, doing all this work, looking at each other going, we can't get it to that level, so we're just not going to do it, right? And, you're talking a little old family business coming up through, Phoenix, and, there was that, I had to kind of put that aside for a second, like, oh my gosh, right?
With the opportunity of it, you mean?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we could be the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns,
Mercury.
And Mercury, and just be able to be out there in front of our community and serving pizza, and just providing. But it was just one of those things that you just had to put all that aside and make it about what you had alluded to, Jamie. It was just the fact that it has to be at that level. Sure. Otherwise, we're walking away, And it didn't mean that we were going to get it. There were other competitors that were going for it, but we had to figure that out. And she helped a little bit. My sister and brother-in-law kind of took the lead on that food side, and
they did the main.
Really just.
R&Ding the dough and how we're going to, roll out the dough. Because, it takes a certain amount of time from start to finish to make the pizza.
Sure.
But you don't want people waiting in line 15 minutes,
Yeah.
You're having to kind of turn and burn it. So we had to do a lot of R&D with that and figure that out.
Real quick message for you guys. If you guys are enjoying today's episode, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast app and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our email newsletter for all of the cool spots to eat and drink around town, as well as upcoming events and fun stuff like that. Also, we've got some brand new merch on our website, including these Thanks for Supporting Local hats and 2 brand new t-shirts. So make sure to check out our website for more. Now back to the podcast.
So how do you quality control rolling out that many? Because when someone goes to the Suns game, they're like, I want a Spinato's pizza. That dough gets out and they start, right? It's not already pre-made. So how do you figure that out?
Yeah.
Lots of practice.
Well, that was the, year one, right? You don't have the data that you want, right? What we've learned from, because some of the staff that was with the incumbent stayed on, and what they're already telling us is we're selling a lot more pizza than they sold last year, right?
Yeah.
So even some of what they were thinking going into this were far exceeding that, and so you've got that opening kind of rush, and we're trying to backtrack and go, okay, this is when we're going to need this many pizzas, so I don't want anything cooked too far out in front, right? So it's just figuring out the ovens can make this many pizzas per, X amount of time. And it's just figuring out, okay, we're going to get this many going. and start selling them, and we're going to be ramped up, and then everything just once those doors open, we're just running pizzas through, one after another, and just holding on tight, trying to keep up, So I think they're doing, anywhere from 1,500 to 1,800 personal pizzas out of those 3 stands. And you're talking about probably 2.5 hours, real, after that third quarter, you're coming up to the third quarter, it slows down after halftime. So it's really just like when they open to literally just about the end of halftime, a little after that, you just get crushed, So it just, we're still working through some kinks.
Sure. Yeah.
But the goal is that nothing is sitting longer than 15, 20 minutes in a box, and it's still almost too hot to eat, at that point, but 25 minutes would be the worst case scenario. But so we've just continually tested it, but it's got to have that restaurant, feel product. They'll deliver on that, every time. Otherwise, just put them aside. We'll give them away at the end of the night.
Yeah. Call me. I'll come eat them out there. I've eaten days old pizza. Yeah. I had a friend. He lived right by our high school, and his parents always. We live in a small town, so they just left the door open. This huge house. So I'd walk in like, "Hey, Sean, you here? Oh, there's pizza over there. I'm going to grab some pizza," and I would eat it. And his mom would be like, "That was from 2 days ago." I'm like, "It was still good.
Yeah.
Still really good." Yeah.
Good old pizza.
Maybe it probably wasn't too good for my stomach, but well, so how to backtrack a little bit, how did the Suns and Mercury thing come up? Like, how did you even make that connection? Did they just reach out?
Yeah, we had a friend that knew a few of the folks up there in the Suns, knew what they were trying to do there. They had spent, I believe, $290 million on the update, during COVID, which worked out pretty well, where they just got to just go and get it all done. And they kicked up the bar scene and the quality of the beers and the drinks there. And so the year after that, then it was, okay, we want to elevate the fan experience through the food, And so I think 2 of their guys on their exec team are big fans of Spinatos. One comes to this location, knows one of our bartenders real well, but just happened to know the right guy who knew myself and my dad, and brought it up to him, and kind of started talking to us about it. And so we just started to dig in a little bit more, but that was like end of 2021 when it kind of came up on our radar, and we were opening our Scottsdale store.
Gotcha.
In the middle of COVID. Couldn't get any staff hired, right? So we were all going to work there, and I just said, "Guys, I don't have any. I'm interested, but I can't even spend any time on this." And they said, "Listen, we don't need to really start talking until the end of March, And I said, "Okay, well then, look me up then." And so we caught back up in the end of March and got some more details and kind of started to look into it a little bit more. Brought it into our family and our team, and it was met with mixed emotions, what I mean, because we just getting out of opening the Scottsdale store. We were working 100 hours a week, a little bit more than that for a while there.
PTSD from all that. So.
And then he brings this to you. Also, we're going to make 1,800 pizzas every 2 hours.
So everybody, and rightfully so, right? Because, and I'm, I don't want to work 100 hours a week, but, I mean, we got 2 amazing daughters. I mean, I want to spend time with this lady right here, and then, it's like, okay, we're really going to be thinking about this. So everybody kind of came forth with their honesty and emotions. And then we said, okay, well, let's figure out everything that we have to, that has to be a yes, a check in order for us to do it. So we made that kind of that dangers, opportunity, strength list, or some people call it the SWOT, right? And you just looked at it and everything, is like, it's going to tell us it's going to be a no or a yes, and I think our daughters were so excited. They kept asking and asking and asking. And I said, guys, to know, if you could see where we came from, right, and know where we started, like the fact that we even have this opportunity is a blessing and a win, So I was absolutely okay with whatever direction the Lord took it, and it was just going to be, if it's meant to be, it will be, and if not, it's not the right time, and it's not the right thing for our business, our family, and our team. So so it all came together, and it kind of came fast.
They were super pumped when the gorilla got to make a a pizza.
Yeah. So then
we did a collab with that.
Yep. You want to talk about that a little bit? Oh, no, you're good at that stuff. Oh, so
because you were the lucky guy that got to work with
the gorilla.
What did you tell me, Anthony? Let's hear the story.
He's a good dude. You know, it's amazing that two men can communicate without saying a word. You know, and I think that's why our wives are always wondering, like, isn't there more? You know, and it's like, no, you just don't understand. Men can actually speak to one another without talking, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
You know, so no, he came out to our Tempe store. We put a little energy into, you know, what would the gorilla want to eat? You know, does gorillas eat pizza? And boy, do they ever! You know, and we wanted to do something definitely that, you know, it fits the Suns and the Mercury, right? So we want a little heat to that pizza. We're traditionally known for a sweeter sauce, you know. And so we just worked on that. That's where the pickled jalapenos came in.
Nice.
We've got an amazing hot sapressata we get from Italy imported that we put on our antipasto. So that worked out well. Gorillas eat meat, you know. Wanted a little onions in it. And we have a little spice that we add to our spinach pizzas. It's got a couple ingredients which I cannot say on the mic here today, but spices it up a little bit more. So we wanted it to really kind of be something that goes with that hey, Suns Mercury, you know.
Makes sense. Something that you can,
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. He came in and it was you know, I had to train a gorilla how to make pizza, you know. I was exhausted.
They're smart though, right?
Yeah,
very smart.
sure.
Yeah, they are. You know, feed them and they get it real fast.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, strong. They can do all the heavy work, right? Yeah.
I figured out once I start, you know, he's piling all the ingredients in the center, you know, and I'm a stickler for, you know, it's all about balance. You want all these ingredients spread out so you get them in every bite. And, you know, I couldn't figure out how to communicate to him, right? And I just said, it's like spread the floor, gorilla. It's like, you know, it's like running the offense. You spread the floor, right?
Yeah.
A couple basketball terms. Boom, we got it. You know, he heard me.
He
you
understood that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else with the Suns? I mean, is this a continuous? Will this continue just through this season? Is it indefinitely? Like, what's the plan with that? Do you know?
Yeah, it's a 3-year thing.
I asked if you know. And he was like, I hope you know.
Yeah.
I hope so.
It's 3 years.
Nice.
And, you know, the way it's going, you know, as long as we could keep doing what we're doing and have great people down there doing it with us.
Yeah.
They've been a you know, first-class organization to work with. And they are just jamming with us on, you know, our community outreach. I mean, they're very big into that as well. So there's a lot of, you know, I think just how we like to run our organization, what they're trying to do, and the impact in their community. So it's a great partnership. So everything's felt great, you know, and we've got, I think, the hardest part figured out. You know, we're just still tweaking it. So as long as we can keep with it, I'd love to be down there. You know, I don't know if I, you know, wanted. You know, we've had some other organizations ask us about this, right? You know, other sports teams, and I don't necessarily know that that's the direction for us. You know, we wanted to do something bold and get some exposure and show, you know, the community who we are, and we were excited about that. But you know, and it's just a different experience, right? You don't get to build necessarily the relationships with the fans, but we teach our staff, like, hey, it's still an experience. It's not a transaction, you know. So there's some adjustments to that, but I think, you know, hopefully, you know, God willing, we'll be there more than 3 years, and you know, continue to do some unique things every year, and we're talking to them a little bit about another opportunity down there that we can bring another part to some folks who have, you know, more dietary, you know, restrictions or certain diet that they're looking to consume down there with our pizza. And so we got that kind of on the back burner, but it may be something that we may be able to deliver in year 2, in addition to what we're doing down there, you know. So I don't want to spill the beans on that.
No, you're
don't
good.
Spill the beans.
What, beans? That was the special spice? So, and then collaborations as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when I first heard about the Suns and Mercury collaboration or partnership was from Steven, Wizard of Zoth. So that was the first time I met you, was at Beer Research Institute when we did the episode about the beer pizza collaboration. So I mean, I say, how did that happen? But it just makes sense. Spinato's in Wizard of Za, right?
Yeah.
It was inevitable, but
Match made in heaven.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did the connection how did you guys make the connection with Steven?
That was really Erin, our marketing director.
Okay,
and
nice.
So
Yeah.
she just kind of had this great idea of kind of getting that in the works because, like you said, it kind of goes hand in hand. Wizard of Za and Spinato's
Best.
Pizza.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Top pizza in the valley.
So that was a really fun collaboration, and we're planning on working with him in the future with some more collabs.
Nice.
With that, right now we're doing Hometown Heroes. So for November and December, they will be gathering toys, like a toy drive for military families
nice.
and first responders. So with us being a vet-owned organization, Anthony's dad was a vet, and we decided to partner with Hometown Heroes, and then for the toy drive, and then as well as Cider Core. So
nice.
Which they're
Love Cider
awesome.
Core.
I know.
Yeah.
And so we're doing for November and December, we're doing a portion of proceeds that will go to Hometown Heroes for Singin' Sangria, which is one of their ciders.
Yeah.
That's really tasty.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good dudes over there.
Oh, they
and
are. They're really good.
Making incredible stuff. So do you pair a cider with a pizza?
So this one, no, we don't have a pairing like we did with Wizard of Za, but this one's just anybody can come in, have Singin' Sangria, and a portion of those proceeds will go toward that toy drive.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So pro tip though, what would you pair with the Singin' Sangria?
So I mean, because it's a little tart and it has some sweetness behind it, I always like to be like kind of what Anthony was saying with Courtside Classic. Anything that brings like some sweet heat, so it kind of balances out some of that sweetness.
Okay.
So I would, with the Singin' Sangria, I mean, you could do anything that has a little spice or kick to it, whether
Like
it's
the Hawaiian Hottie?
Classic Hawaiian Hottie.
Yeah.
Which would be really good because the Singin' Sangria has passion fruit and pomegranate and kind of those berry background
like a good
in it.
Combination.
So then you add some pineapple and some
Ham
pickled
and
jalapenos.
The jalapeno, yeah.
Smokiness from the Canadian bacon.
We know there's a big debate, whether you put pineapple on pizza, but you got to do it the right way, right?
Okay.
Add a little heat to it, and so I think that would be probably one way to go.
Throw a little ricotta on that
a
too.
little ricotta. Even
You got to Italian that up for me, huh?
I know.
yeah,
Ricotta.
Poi pagari, por favor. I think one thing people miss is, I love our spinach pizza. You can put a little jalapeno on there as well, or some sausage under that spinach to add a little heat to it. So I think that would probably go well with that as well.
That's what the calzone. That's how I married you.
That's what got,
Wait, what do you mean? Because I mean, my eyes were, I'm like, calzone.
Yeah.
Like, I love calzones.
So like I was mentioning, I met him over at the Bell Road location.
Yeah.
I was 15, he was 20, so there was no funny business going on because I would be
So
like
nothing funny
jailbait
there.
kind of. But I would come in and I would say, okay, make me something good. And he'd make a small calzone with, it's like the mama's, so it'd be like the spinach spice, it had garlic, tomato, and then I would do sausage, onion, and mushroom in it.
She'd eat a small one.
And I take the whole small one down myself, and that's what he said. I know I'm going to marry that woman.
That's good. Well, how big is a small? Because the way you say it is like the small is not very small.
So it's a 12-inch pizza, right? Folded in half, So you've got like it's about the size of a football,
Sure.
right?
The small. Well, how big is the biggest one then?
It's man.
Is it one of those Subway
like,
6 foot? I would love
it's a
that.
16-inch, just folded over,
Yeah.
and stuffed with fresh spinach and.
hungry.
Me too.
So
Luke's taking all the photos
I
over
know,
there.
right?
yeah, so that's when I knew, okay, a woman who can eat like this and really go after it when at the right time,
Sure. Yeah.
For the right food and the right reasons. So that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just took me about 8 years to ask her out.
Yeah.
5 of those 3 of those she had to just become legal.
That's true.
The other 5 were all on me, just scared to get that no.
Yeah.
Because she's just
I heard
whole nother
free
level.
Pizza my whole
Oh,
life.
yeah, there we go.
I was like, I'm in.
You were waiting for him.
Yeah,
Like, when am I
exactly.
going to get one of those calzones again?
Girl need to eat.
I'll never go hungry.
Yeah.
So what else is coming up? Like, before we wrap this up, I know you guys
Yeah.
are always doing fun, exciting stuff. Is there anything else that's coming up that's
Yeah.
exciting?
So I'm sure when you walked in, this
yes.
morning with plastic on the windows and stuff walking in.
I couldn't find it at first. I was like, where is it?
Where
And
are
I was
we?
like, oh, there. Okay.
Yeah. So we're doing a little remodel in our
Nice.
Ahwatukee location. So we're really excited about that. We got Agritopia coming up. That's our
It's out in Gilbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our 7th restaurant.
Oh, you're going to have a web. Oh, nice. That's a beautiful place out there.
it's
Epicenter,
so nice.
yeah, the
Oh, you're gonna be at
Johnston
Epicenter.
family. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Amazing
beautiful, amazing
family.
people that you just, the day I met Joe, Steve Chukri at the time was the president of the Arizona Restaurant Association, connected us. And it was like, yep, we're going to do this because we had to sign a lease for a formality, right?
Yeah.
But they're that kind of people where you just say, this is how we're going to do this. And just high integrity, just good people. And the town of Gilbert, that's the place. I mean,
Really?
we were blown
Yeah.
away. We hadn't, we're up, in the northern part of.
They're a great community.
But what a
I
great
mean,
community! A lot of family. It's just the spot for us. And then the Johnstons, their vision for that epicenter was no chains, right? All locally owned, and operated, multi-unit, operator. So they knew that they've had some experience. You got Matt's Big Breakfast, Buck and Ryder, Gadzooks, are out there. And so,
It's it's almost like an all-star team of what pick the best of the best from the valley, and we're going to have them open a spot.
It's
Is it
gonna be-
Peixoto?
Peixoto.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Such a
Thank
good
God you mentioned
coffee
them. Yeah.
I will drive there just to
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
45 minutes.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So that one,
That's
think
exciting for you guys.
Oh.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
it's a lot of fun. We're doing a little different thing on our patio out there where we're, I think just defining, what this experience can be like. We've got kind of that family area where you can have more of the large parties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've got more of a bar feel on the front side where it's high tops, and we got a, indoor outdoor bar, and then in the middle of the patio there's like a nice little loungy area.
Nice.
You sit and have a little drink, small little bite or whatever. So that one I think is finally we've taken it to what we believe this is how we're going to go, and our restaurants are going to feel, and in a great community, So that's coming February
Okay.
Yeah.
next year,
Yeah, nice.
and we're just going to continue to chip away, add some patios to some of our other stores, and just make some updates. But after that, I'm going to say this on air, so everyone
record.
can hold me to, have it on record. But
sure I hit
we're
record.
going to try
Oh,
and not do anything, other than just grow internally,
Yeah.
get better. And the external, more restaurants that will come, but we just want to prepare for that next stage. But
Yeah.
I think, our team, our family, we don't look at being the biggest. We just want to be the best. And so it's about knowing, having a good pulse on where you're at. And so we want to take a good 12 or 18 month, maybe longer break, and just focus on what we're doing, and get better at that, and continue to invest. We're doing some employee ownership next year. We're going to roll that out in summer. That's going to go for everybody. We know how hard it is to do this. We've done it for a lot of years of our life, and without our staff, our team doing what they do, right? They're that extension of what my parents used to do and my grandparents, what we used to do in the restaurants. It's just they're the faces, they are the connections. They're why, guests choose to come in. Hey, I want to go see Mike tonight for dinner at Spinato's, right? We want them to be that face, and so they're a part of our success. They contribute to that, so we're going to share in it,
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
that's something I think is more of why we don't want to grow externally. Is we just want to continue to evolve and get better at building a world-class organization.
I dig it. And you guys have been recognized for that, right? You guys have been voted best employer or
Oh,
top
yeah.
employer,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
Two years in a row. Yeah.
That is awesome. The
I
last
know.
2 years, right? 21, 22.
Yep.
Yeah. And then they just awarded us. We got the Diversity and Inclusion Award
Yeah.
by Arizona Republic,
Nice.
AZ Central, and
Yeah.
And that's a testament to the people we have. That's not our award. That's our staff.
Award.
They make. We have a vision. We have an idea of. We started as a family, right? So there was 6 of us. So everything grew. That was the seed that developed, right? So everybody felt like part of that family. But so that's how it started, and that's what our culture still is today. But you got to have the right people that value that, right? And that take that to heart and make their 65, 70, 100 person restaurant still feel like a family, know, in a world where it's hard to get, folks to work in this industry or just show up for every shift, right? Yeah. It's those things as you're thinking about, hey, when you're not here, right? You're hurting your family, you're hurting your friends, and it's sacrificing what the guest experience it should and feel like, and that I think that's what bothers all of us in this industry the most is everyone in this business has a very clear, I think, picture of what that guest experience is going to look like. Delivering that is the challenge, but our guest experience is never going to exceed our employee experience. So that's why we have to we are so committed to our people and the different things they get a lot of perks and benefits, reimbursements. Closed every holiday. They got a 3-day weekend for Christmas this year. Nice. We just, we're a family running a business like a family. We feel the strain of it, with them. And so our thing is really not looking about how much more money can you squeeze out of this, but making sure you're when you're in charge of people, right, you're taking care of people. It's really about that. Yep. And so it's just about giving everybody a little extra time. What's that? We're not in the pizza business. We're in the people business,
Is that on a shirt somewhere?
It's they put it on a cup, because that was the,
Didn't make the shirt.
Over and over and over. Yeah. And, but, pizzerias go out of business all the time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But if you're focused, that's a big focus of us making great pizza, but, before that, it's people,
Sure.
and so we have to take care of our staff so they can take care of the guest. It's a harmonious relationship, and it starts with us. But again, it's the good people with the right heart to go carry out and deliver that experience. It makes all the difference.
Yeah, I take it. Well, can we wrap up with the last thing I noticed on your list
you
there?
See that?
The scented candle. What is that?
All right, so that's going to be a little fun stocking stuffer or a little last minute Christmas gift. Elephant, what is it? The white elephant?
White elephant?
Yeah. You do that. So we have a trio candle set that will be, one's going to be the Hawaiian Hottie. So that's one of our pizzas.
You kind of said the Hawaiian Hottie.
Hawaiian Hottie.
Looked at the camera.
So that we'll have that. It's going to smell like pineapple and kind of a little smokiness behind it. And then we have the margarita. So it's got a tomato basil kind of smell to it. And then we got to do something sweet. So we did tiramisu. Ooh. So I'll have like a coffee kind of cocoa smell.
Nice. And you're starting to sell these already at the locations?
We're going to, December 1st is when we're going to get those out. So, it'll be a fun, if you want your house to smell like Spinato's pizza.
Always, every single day,
Then come by and get some candles.
Yeah, if you can't, have the smell of the pizza in your house every day, at least you can have the candle, right?
Exactly.
I mean, what great marketing.
Yeah. Have you ever listened to the comedian Mitch Hedberg? When he's like, he doesn't like, what is he said? I don't know how to make cupcakes, but I have a candle, so I light it, and I let my friends wake up with false hope. Right? So it's just, you get like this candle someone's making. Is that? Oh, that's the Hawaiian Hottie from Spinato's. Yeah. It's just a candle.
Yep.
Wow, what the heck? Yeah.
Just don't burn them on Mondays because we're closed. Then you're really going to get some complaints on social media. I was burning your candles. I got the itch for Spinato's, and you're closed. Broken windows. Yep.
Yeah, good thing we uncovered that here.
Yeah.
That could have been disastrous. So, well, guys, thanks for having us in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
our
very
pleasure.
excited.
Thank you.
We've got this article coming up in the January issue featuring you guys. Steven's covering. Luke was taking pictures, and hopefully you didn't eat all the food. But no, thank you guys for having us in and keep doing awesome stuff.
Thank
you too. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate that.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day.